What is hidden beneath the Great Pyramids of Giza? Instead of long-claimed deposits of these ancient structures having once been tombs, could the truth we seek have a far more incredible story to tell? Could these ancient structures instead be gigantic prehistoric machines which once served a purpose as yet to be fully deciphered? Yet the clues leading one to such outlandish a conclusion seemingly mounting. We have covered in the past wildly disseminated theories shared and explored for decades surrounding a methodology for the creation of the Great Pyramids. 1. Of floating stones up along the Nile on huge rafts and ships, up and onto the plateau with the use of nearly impossible to achieve levels of flooding and by supposedly using pulleys upon boats. Many have delved into this hypothesis with a goal of proving the concept valid. Yet alas, the sheer size of the stones utilized in the builds, and with seemingly bigger and bigger stones found by the day, again, this theory misses in its objective of delivering any logical explanation. However, this theory may have led to the discovery of something which may indeed lead us to the realization for the original true purpose of the Great Pyramids of Giza, and perhaps the entire plateau, known as Djoser Pyramid, or the Pyramid of Djoser. It is widely accepted as the oldest on the plateau, a factor which could also fit in with our following assertion. With the use of satellite radar imagery, along with dozens of reports collected from experienced archaeologists who have explored the pyramid in detail for many years, a French team of engineers led by Xavier Landreau from the CEA Paleotechnic Institute have made an astounding discovery regarding this pyramid's past, and possibly true, original function. We have already touched upon the presence of watercourses found within nearly every ancient pyramid site on Earth, with many of these flows often found to have been funneled into, beneath, or sometimes through these structures, as if they were some form of ancient cooling feature. These water sources have on many occasions been noted to somehow be positively charging water with ionic particles during its journey through the structure, as if remnants of whatever was inside them still there, perhaps merely not functioning correctly. Furthermore, we now have reports of a gigantic new discovery beneath Khafra, which, upon first hearing of the find, we were intrigued to indeed hear the first ever mention of any possible manipulation of a water source into any of the Great Pyramids, one now spilling into this mysterious structure's lower caverns, which they claim is now flooding the lower platform. Yet I digress. What the team of researchers have concluded within their research, a paper now peer-reviewed and published on ResearchGate, is that the Pyramid of Djoser is in fact an ancient hydraulic pump, one which would force water levels up inside of the structure, presumably to be pumped into these ancient caverns, perhaps to cool some form of reaction or indeed machine. They concluded from their finds that perhaps these pumps were utilized in the construction of the pyramid itself, hence the mention of the floating construction hypothesis, themselves obviously referring back to this same flooding theory for a suitable explanation for this mysterious feature. They also claimed that it may have once been some form of elevator shaft, allowing for the lifting of objects up within its center. Yet for what purpose escapes them, and indeed any valid explanation will if one's opinion is restricted due to a paradigm rather than a reality. Could this giant pump have once been connected to the enormous structure which has now reportedly been found beneath the Great Pyramid of Khafra? Could there be more of these anomalies beneath the other two, in particular the largest, that of Khufu, where these giant machines fed fresh water, with the process not only cooling the machine's inner workings, but somehow resulting in the energizing of this ancient water source, with depleted uranium, or rather significant levels of radon gas, found leaking from the mastabas which litter the vicinity of these ancient structures? Are we instead looking at spent fuel cells? Were these ancient structures somehow once generating power? Perhaps they still are. The Djoser Pyramid, the pump, and thus the first installed feature, it would logically explain why it is found to be the oldest part of the pyramid system, and perhaps a possible gigantic ancient machine, one which not only spans the entire plateau, but also possibly spanning deep beneath it. We will keep you posted in regard to any more incredible discoveries, which we or others make, supporting this peculiar and possibly history-changing discovery. We find the mounting evidence highly compelling,
researcher Isaac Coy has stumbled upon a startling disclosure that has quietly been made public. It relates to unusual space debris that was found in northern Saskatchewan in 1968. This isn't just any fragment, it's the largest known UFO fragment ever publicly found or retrieved, and it has now been definitively concluded as having come from space. However, at the time, the Canadian military and government could not explain where it came from, and so, it somehow managed to escape the clutches of secrecy. Interestingly, the Canadian government has seemingly been in a mode of disclosure for some time now, recently making many UFO documents available to the public through archives in Ottawa, scanning thousands of files in the past few months alone. This discovered space debris is now just one of the many documented crashes of unidentified objects in Canada, most of which were previously covered up. But ask yourself this: if you were a government official, how would you react to receiving a memo with a subject line that began with UFO found? What if that memo also referred to a metal fragment, and the examination revealed that this object had likely been part of a vehicle that traveled in outer space, with attached photographs as proof? Well, one Canadian official did receive such a memo. It was in November of 1968, and along with it came photos of the metal fragment. Personally, I do not recall ever seeing this discussed in any UFO books or documentation. Dated November 14, 1968, the memo came from the F Division of the CIB, presumably the Criminal Investigation Branch of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Its title, UFO Found in Northern Saskatchewan. This was only one part of a set of documents and photos. Photos that, for decades, were hidden within secret government archives. These astounding documents stated that the object likely formed part of a space-traveling vehicle. The 99% pure titanium fragment, etched with a white ceramic-like crystalline material, was found around October 1968, near Wallace Lake in Saskatchewan. Tests revealed that it had probably been down for over 90 days when it was discovered. Another official memo, dated October 24, 1968, disclosed more shocking facts. The object was 99% pure titanium, around 4 feet long and 2.5 feet wide, and weighed between 10 to 15 pounds. This makes it the largest alien material ever officially found and retrieved on Earth. Interestingly, a local newspaper was aware of the find. Handwritten annotations in the documents even suggested that the NRC should release this information publicly, including the RCMP lab's conclusion that the object was extraterrestrial, yet no media coverage ever took place. Also worth noting, man-made satellites are usually made of aluminum, not pure titanium. Here are some satellite crash images for comparison. None of them even come close to the alien-looking appearance of this Canadian fragment. A report dated October 29, 1968, gave additional test results. It revealed the fragment's composition was of even higher titanium purity than initially believed. A freelance artist was even given a classified challenge to create a visual concept of what part of the craft this fragment could have belonged to us. And now we ask, could this mysterious object be proof that we are not alone in the universe? With such secrecy, such compelling evidence, and forensics all but confirming its alien origin, we find it highly compelling. Now, let's move to another fascinating case. An ancient cemetery in present-day Hungary has puzzled anthropologists for decades. Among the remains of 51 individuals, researchers discovered many elongated skulls, apparently human. Yet something was off. While skull elongation through ancient binding practices is known across cultures, these skulls appeared to have natural human napping patterns, not indicative of artificial shaping. DNA sequencing has only deepened the mystery. Adults, females, and children, all with artificially deformed skulls, marked by bandage-shaped depressions, making this one of the largest concentrations of this cultural phenomenon in Europe. Curiously, the strontium isotope ratios here were far more variable than those of animals, or even prehistoric human burials in the same region. This tells us one thing: these mysterious people likely lived elsewhere during their childhood, but where they came from remains a complete mystery. Further isotope data shows their diet included a remarkably high amount of millet, adding another layer of strangeness. Though officially dismissed as human, some photographic studies of specific remains remain undisclosed. Even if human, it still doesn't answer. Where did this ritual come from? And why did it spread across the world Germany, Malta, Russia, Hungary. Were these ancient people trying to emulate a forgotten civilization? Or perhaps something not entirely human? Were they trying to resemble ancient gods? Or perhaps ancient visitors? And finally, let's talk about the infamous curse of the pharaohs, said to be cast upon anyone who disturbed the mummies of ancient Egypt. This curse supposedly caused illness, bad luck, and death, even claiming the lives of at least 20 individuals connected to King Tutankhamun's tomb. But what if it wasn't a curse at all? What if it was radiation poisoning? Consider this. Melted steps found within the Dendera temple, curious copper handles inside the infamous Gantenbrink's door. And now, a new scientific study suggests something alarming. Traces of uranium. Radiation have been found in Giza and Saqqara, 10 times over the safety threshold. Ancient uranium deposits, leaching into walls of mastabas surrounding the Great Pyramids. These structures, once dismissed as simple tombs, now present a terrifying question. Why is uranium, an element used in modern nuclear reactors, found here in such massive quantities? Could this indicate a past nuclear meltdown? 2 locations, both deep within the Osiris tomb shaft, showed stone coffers to be intensely radioactive, especially on the inside, as if something powerful had been stored within. Other chambers, such as those beneath Djoser's pyramid, were also found to contain uranium-rich pottery, possibly yellow cake uranium-235, a dangerous, highly radioactive substance still used to enrich nuclear fuel today. So we must ask, could this be the true original purpose of the Great Pyramids? A lost energy-generating technology, one capable of producing unlimited power? We find this possibility highly compelling.